Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's a little late to upload this because today is going to be a big reveal of cards, but there's one last little mini leak spoiler thing going on, with, of course, Kaldheim. And first up, we've got this absolute moron who goes by the name of, translated, Cavity, is apparently going for the most, hey, come catch me and sue me approach to leaking cards ever. So I guess step one is do it under your own username on Twitter, assuming it's not a throwaway. And then step two, put the most personally identifiable two backgrounds you can possibly come up with in your entire house in the photo. Fantastic. Say hi to Wizards legal team for me. So anyway, this is Rise of the Dreadmarn. It's a 3-cost rare instant, and it says create X 2/2 black zombie berserker creature tokens, where X is the number of non-token creatures that died this turn. I never liked, and I think it's safe to say the community never liked, because none of these cards that I've ever seen have ever taken off. Cards that are timing based, that are like, oh, that happened just specifically this turn. Oh, for everyone that died this turn. Oh, for every, whatever happened in this tiny little narrow window. I remember in pretty recent years here, there was at least one card that was white that was like, hey, whatever went to the graveyard this turn, return it. And I think it had like a CMC cap or something. Nobody played it. There was a similar card that cost a little bit more mana. Might have been Sorcery Speed, I don't remember. But I think it had a similar CMC cap, but it was like, hey, return whatever, a bunch of cards from the graveyard to the battlefield, just period. Well, in fact, I think there was two that did that I remember, and they both caught on pretty good. One of them was huge, and one of them was just like, okay, people play that. So people don't like being locked into timing because, like for this spell, what if you didn't have 3 mana all of a sudden? I mean, you could try to stack it up, you could try to plan it, but you don't know when your opponent is going to destroy your entire line of creatures. And if you did it yourself with like a board wipe or something, how do you still have 3 mana left? That's extremely unlikely. So then they threw on the bottom of it Foretell for 1. So during your turn, you may pay 2 generic mana and exile this card from your hand face down. Cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. Now that helps a bit. So now, okay, it's still instant speed, but now you only have to pay 1 for it because you preloaded it for 2. Now, the slight logical, I guess you could say, fallacy here, or flaw, or, mathematical issue is 1 + 2 is 3, or you could cast it for 3. Why would you possibly not cast it for its Foretell cost? It's the same darn number, with the answer being cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. So now you're like boxing yourself in, where if you, slid this into exile face down so your opponent doesn't know what card it is, that's important. For 2, now if they blow up all your creatures, you can no longer just pay 1 and cast it. So yeah, Foretell would be about right. You'd have to guess that sometime in the future they're going to blow up all your creatures. So then it just becomes a kind of risky insurance policy. And then if you never had the mana or, reason to kind of preload it into exile, then maybe after your opponent absolutely nukes a ton of your creatures with some kind of ambush or board wipe or something, you might have 3 mana available to, not really bring them back, but get an army of zombies. And I will say, sometimes an army of 2/2s is great, sometimes it's not. Usually the break even on that is it a tribal you're already running? So if somebody's running just mono black zombies, but not primarily tokens, now they get zombies that are primarily tokens, and that's still cool because they'll still have some kind of tribal boost, then this would be a really good card. Otherwise, I mean, like I said, it's a nice insurance policy. I would love to run this in a draft, or certainly a pre-release, but those decks are a little bit looser with available mana. It's not quite as, tight and tuned and down to, a tight mana curve per turn. But, I mean, I can't get over the fact that you're losing an entire real actual creature card, and then for each one of those, all you get is a crappy little 2/2 token. I mean, that might work, that might be an upgrade, who knows? But in just the average deck, it's barely a consolation prize, it's barely like a little tiny backup, and usually if you're going to get a little tiny backup, a little tiny benefit, it'll be like, the current big white board wipe, I forgot the name of it, but it's like, oh, and if you control a creature 4 or greater, then draw a card on top of the board wipe. So it's like, okay, I had to board wipe, that sucks, but I might get a little something out of it. And might turn on you, your opponent qualifies for that trigger too. But I've got to say, at the end of the day, okay, interesting card, somebody might make use of it. It's not too powerful unless it goes into some deck that really just takes this and runs with it. So, hooray, they didn't print another thing that's just inherently on its face broken, so I'll take it. Speaking of foretell, by the way, I foretell the first person to identify whatever playmat that is, which looks pretty custom, calling up Wizards of the Coast and saying, here's the person who leaked it. So, good job, dumbass. Just like pretty much every leaker that I've ever seen in the last couple of years, you're a careless, stupid, clout-chasing, wisdom-lacking moron, and you're about to get the absolute legal hammer thrown at you. Unless this was staged or some absolutely thinly veiled BS from Wizards. I'm not even sure which one's worse at this point. What we can settle on is both of them paint Wizards in a very poor light. So next up, we've got something very interesting. It's a spoiler. It was sent by Wizards to a person, and we all know that spoilers don't start until tomorrow. Well, I guess as I'm recording this today. So this is coming from Amy the Amazonian on Twitter, which is at COL_Amazonian, and she tweeted out 14 hours ago as of right now, which it's like 4 a.m. So definitely January 6th. And she says, hey y'all, Wizards of the Coast sent me a, quote, cassette tape and all sorts of other amazing things, which I'm unboxing at Twitch TV/Amazonian, also new card spoiler for Kaldheim. Sorry to tell ya, princess, but those are usually accompanied by, and don't tell anyone about this until X date. This right here is your date that you're supposed to spoil this. Don't spoil it early. I mean, they don't usually watermark it directly on the card, and that looks like some kind of hype up for their Twitch stream, which would imply that this was supposed to come out early, but no community members are supposed to issue spoilers before the 7th. So I'm confused. I mean, all evidence from every other set and the order and the schedule that they put forward would strongly suggest that this person leaked the card a day early. I don't know. Who knows? It's a giant convoluted mess. Just saying, maybe they did nothing wrong. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares at this point? With all the leaks, I don't think it's their biggest priority. For one of the first times ever, they sent it to somebody who actually has an online following. But let's see if you can guess if that was the primary reason. Let's read her Twitch bio here. Everything enthusiast, Twitch partnered streamer, engineer, and destroyer of cards, scissors emoji, which that's the fastest way to piss people off. Destroy cards live on Twitch. Yeah, good idea. Great idea. Prepare for the backlash. Unless it's like a joke or something, I don't know her. Then, of course, she's got her pronouns in the bio. She, her, they, them, which I would have assumed, yes, only, 0.01% of the community is trans? Yeah, I would have gone with she, her. I don't think you needed to put that. Oh, what's that? I'm hearing it's not functional. It's just some stupid virtue signaling horse shit. Oh, okay, now it makes sense. So they choose her because of her politics, because of her social, policy bullshit. And, I mean, she does have 43,000 followers on Twitch, which is probably a lot. Her live streams get a couple thousand, like low thousands of views, which is still like really decent. But, I think they chose her because of her gender and her politics. Call me crazy. Well, you should have chosen somebody with their head screwed on straight, because I guess she just didn't feel like reading the part that says, don't leak this early. Well, congratulations, Amy the Amazonian. That is the last spoiler you are ever getting. Then again, I mean, this is Wizards of the Coast we're talking about, and by Wizards of the Coast, I mean a third-party contractor that they hired to do this because they can't be bothered. I think it's some, no-name company out of Minnesota. Anyway, maybe they put the wrong date on the mailer that they sent her. I'm more interested in this whole, she got a cassette in the mail, like an actual, go to the thrift store and buy a cassette player cassette. I was gonna say, ooh, that's so mysterious, and that's so, wait, oh, no, this is a Viking set, not some weird retro, turbo 80s cyberpunk, no, that's actually the Japanese set that's coming out. That one's all like neo retro, future cyberpunk kind of looking, that was leaked at hell and back. I think that's not even coming out till 2022. So I don't get the cassette. I mean, it's it's Metal Week and it's metal themed. Maybe it's, I don't know, does metal have to be on a cassette? Like, nobody's like, oh, metal, that was so 80s. Like, no, metal's still a thing. If anything, it's more of a thing. I guess it kind of became a thing when cassettes were big, kinda. I don't know, that's weird. I'm more interested in that leak, but anyway, back to the card. Here's the card. So we've got Invasion of the Giants. It's a 2-cost saga in just everybody's favorite color after the PTSD that the Is It Guild gave us, because Mark Rosewater's stupid ass wanted to bring back Storm to prove to the world that Storm isn't that bad and the Storm Scale isn't totally named the Storm Scale. He is wrong, and Thousand Year Storm was complete and utter pure MTG cancer. Anyway, this absolute gem is an uncommon. You got, well, it's a saga, so number 1 is Scry 2, cool. Number 2, draw a card, and then you may reveal a giant card from your hand. When you do, Invasion of the Giants deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Oh boy. So we're setting up, those are just nice, but we're setting up, and then we've got number 3, the big finale. The next giant spell you cast this turn costs 2 less to cast. So just giant enabler, nothing too special. It's just more evidence to what I already pointed out, which is giants are just like angels. They're way overcosted. Nobody can play them as a tribal because like the average giant starts at like 4 or 5 mana. So they've got this to try to assist you, to try to like overflow your hand with maybe an extra land, maybe a cheaper giant, and then they discount the spells. And they think that a 2-cost saga is going to enable people to play giants. No. The format's too fast. Rogues are going to just crush giants. Giants are completely dead on arrival. I honestly think Angel Tribal is probably pretty dead on arrival. We'll see. I mean, sometimes power level can make up for it. The best we're going to get is like a cleric heavy now with a couple more angels thing. So people are already playing, white-black clerics. It's an okay like tier 1.5 deck. But yeah, Giants, I think that'll do about as well as Party right now, which some fringe people are playing it. Okay, cool. It's established. It works. There are deck archetypes that were clearly designed by the testers of the game. I get it. Still too slow, still too fragile, still not enough support, and still not, low enough CMCs. So, like, basically nobody plays Party, and the people that are playing it aren't winning with it. The only way to play it right now is a pretty heavy control back end. So it's not like I've never seen like, white, black, blue Party, but I don't know. I think last couple times I saw it, I beat it. So same with Giants. Good luck. Another DOA, Dead on Arrival major mechanic. Speaking of Giants, I'm overdue for covering this one. It's Calamity Bearer. This is, oh boy, a leak from a couple days ago. It's a 4-cost double red giant berserker. So they took a mid-costed, maybe low-costed for a giant card, and then literally doubled down on the color identity. Although, 2 out of 4 is 50%. You could still very well put this in a 2-color deck, obviously. But, you got 3 blue, 1 red available. He ain't coming out, so there's just that little tiny speed bump. And then on top of it, okay, so if a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent, including this giant itself, or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. So another doubler in red. So this thing plus Fire Emancipation, this thing plus Torbrand, you're going to have a problem. What order do you put the stacked multipliers in? I do believe that if they're simultaneous, it's dealer's choice, as they say. You control the permanent, it's your turn, it's your priority. You choose which order they stack in, as far as I know. So, yeah, this thing could just single-handedly hit for over 20. Great, thanks. Thanks, Mark Rosewater, with your unhealthy obsession with doubling everything. Screw you, you dumbass. So yeah, Fire Emancipation still needs to be banned. I'm sick to my ass of that deck, and if you're gonna play Giants and you're gonna somehow pull off high CMCs, you might as well throw in Fire Emancipation too. So while this card is like, yeah, it's only Giants, it's locked into basically one archetype, one tribal that's only a new thing and only the new set. There's almost no red Giants in Standard right now. That's putting a lot of eggs in one basket, so if the deck flops, this is nothing, nobody will play it, and who cares? Who cares? It could say triple, it could say 5x, it doesn't matter. With one little exception that, in that case, and even as it sits, this thing by itself costs 4 and hits for 6. So even if this is the only giant in your deck, this hits for 6. That said, it's still a 4-cost red creature. That's just generally not how red works. At least not mono red. I mean, even people playing that stupid ETB Dragon Direct Unblockable Damage, just obnoxious free casting bullshit deck right now, they're still running 2 to 3 colors. So it's like anything mid-range in red is usually paired with another color and is not even primarily red. So making this a red creature, screwing with the cost, and then making a giant specific, I don't have a whole lot of hope that this will take off, but boy, is this thing flirting with some problems. I mean, just throw this for no reason into a red-white warrior equipment deck, and then just strap any equipment to them. I mean, Embercleave is still legal. Can you imagine that? Embercleave plus this thing, your opponent is dead. The game is over, that's that. And that's pretty unacceptable, but that's usually how Embercleave works anyway. But now it's just like, oh, here I have like 30, 40, 50 damage all at once, and you have one phase to stop it. Wow, fair gameplay. What great card design. Thanks for giving me 1/8 of one turn to respond to this. My deck totally can handle that, Mark Rosewater. So yeah, this whole, oh, I played one spell and now there is nothing that a reasonable deck can do to stop it, so the game's over. You know, whether it's a creature or like an instant speed thing, equipment, whatever, it's a bad feeling. It doesn't feel fair. It's just like, oh, they drew the card. That was the deciding factor in the game. They drew it. Not my play decisions, not this, that, not even the deck I showed up with. It's like, oh, they got off their combo. Oh, they pulled that broken card again. Well, I guess I lose. That's just bad. That's just bad game design. And mathematically, doubling and tripling damage is the quickest way to do that, especially if it's as a surprise. That's why Embercleave is really, truly toxic. So this card plus Embercleave is probably my biggest concern. I know that's a little narrow, it's a little specific, may or may not happen. I haven't even seen that much Embercleave lately in the game because even more degenerate stuff has taken its place. But it kind of just outlines what I call the banned stack, where you can stack up the priority of banned cards, where it's like, okay, this is out of control, this is going too far, we're going to ban this, and then you back it up, and you're like, well, what were people playing before this set came out, before this deck became a thing? Okay, well, now we're going to play, this, and then you ban that, ban that, ban that, ban that. People could back it all the way back up to Winota and still not be happy because Winota was such an utterly bullshit deck. You got Hackdos, that card needs to go. So it's like if Calamity Bearer becomes a problem and then they ban it, or it becomes too good with Embercleave, they ban that, well, what does it back up to? The exact state that it was before this giant came out, which is still unacceptable. So let me just remind you, okay, let me just throw this out here, okay? They could ban Lotus Cobra, Scoot Swarm, Zenith Flare, Torbrand, or Fiery, or both, Rune Crab, Embercleave, Winota, Auspicious Starix, Dream Trawler, Luris, Luminarch Aspirant, Veto, Zareth, Doom Foretold, Peer into the Abyss. I'm literally naming entirely different decks, by the way, not all the same deck. Brash Taunter, Ugin, Relic Robber, Outlaw's Merriment, Yorion, Victor's Envoy, and Drowned in the Loch. And still, that would only back things up to the state of the game about 6 to 12 months ago, which was still an unplayable disaster. We would still have broken unbearable decks. That's the real reason that Wizards is not addressing anything. They're not even talking about a ban. There hasn't been a ban announcement for months. They're just like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. Anybody stupid enough to still be playing standard, whatever, let them. We'll just have to fix this in 2023. Or have it fixed by then, I should say, with rotations and with new sets that they're designing right now and finalizing right now. Just think about it. Of that list that I just gave of toxic, obnoxious, broken, overpowered decks that are universally hated by the community, if they just left Winota or just left Auspicious Starix and banned everything else I just said, just banned everything but Luris, you would just see Luris, Death Loop Deadweight decks. If they banned everything on the list except for Veto, you would see nothing but Black-White Clerics because that deck is completely overpowered. All that unstoppable damage that it's just direct to your life total, completely over the top. If they banned everything I just said, Rogues, Clerics, Mill, the Peer into the Abyss bullshit combo, the Winota bullshit combo, the Embercleave Blitz bullshit combo, the Zenith Flare cycling bullshit combo, all that, Scoot Swarm, Landfall, Lotus Cobra, all that stuff gone. People would still play Doom Foretold decks. They would still play Dream Trawler. They would still play Ugin Ramp decks. All you would do is take like 15 broken decks and get rid of 10 of them. And then, well, now what do we have? The same broken decks as before, but 10 less of them and like even less deck diversity. That's why they're not even bothering. That's why Wizards isn't even attempting to put out this forest fire. They aren't even throwing a cup of water on it. They're just like, oh, might as well just let it burn at this point. Whatever, the damage is already done. So that's why I don't have a very good outlook of what Kaldheim will do to Standard. People are like, I'm so excited. Ooh, all these new archetypes. Ooh, I could finally play this tribal. Ooh, I want to play Angels. No, you're not going to play shit. You're not going to play a damn thing. You know why? Because you're going to continue to play against Rogues and Control and Mill and, cycling Loop Zenith Flare and 200 copies of Scoot Swarm. Do you think that you're going to play anything from Kaldheim while Scoot Swarm is still legal? No, you're not. Unless it already slots into that deck, okay? So just get this delusional notion that the next set might somehow magically fix Standard. Get that out of your head real quick, because that's not reality. So yeah, that's my take on the spoilers so far before the official spoilers start. I guess most of these are leaks, but whatever. So I just wanted to get everybody, in the right frame of mind for what these are. So when you're looking at the cards, just be like, wow, cool lore thing. Wow, cool card for my commander deck. Or wow, this might be draftable. Because if you're still thinking, wow, this might do something good to Standard, you are out of your damn mind. It is irreparable. That is never going to happen. Not until bare minimum the last year of Magic cycles out. Okay, that is the first opportunity that maybe Standard will be fixed by then. Just to get you based in reality here. It's not happy news, it's not good news, it's not friendly news, it's not what you want to hear, but I report on reality on this channel. So if you can't handle it, go be a baby somewhere else. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be covering these spoilers hardcore starting tomorrow or today or whatever the hell day it is. And I'll see you guys next video.